Howdy folks, I recently did a sort of El Presidente spectacular where I made 13 El Presidentes with some weird rums I had lying around. Loyal viewer Burns suggested I do something similar with Mai Tais. And you know what? I haven't done any Mai Tais on this channel at all. So today I got 5 rum blends that may or may not make great Mai Tais. Plus, stick around to the end for a special bonus Mai Tai. I'm gonna try and see if we can make up a new blend, do something special. Let's go. So to start off, I thought we'd just go through and taste our 5 contenders, tell you a little bit about them, get familiar, and then we'll make the Mai Tais later. The 5 blends are Banks 5, Homes Cay Esotico, 10-1 white rum, Denizen 8-year, and a transcontinental high seas. Let's get right into it. All right, first up is Banks 5. Banks 5 Island is a blend of 21 rums from 5 different countries: Jamaica, Guyana, Indonesia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados. And no, Guyana is not an island, but whatever. It's named after an explorer named Joseph Banks, and I really like this blend. It has been bought by Bacardi, so Bacardi now owns it, but it's still really good. I think a lot of that comes down to the Batavia Eric from Indonesia that is also included in this blend. Really gives it a nice, funky, interesting flavor. I've been a fan of this for a long time. Now, all of these are designed for cocktails, so they're probably not the best sippers, but we're going to give them a taste anyway. Like I said, just to get oriented. By the way, this is 80 proof and cost me $34. You get a bit of that grassy Batavia Eric kind of funk on the nose, and some of that, a little bit of that. Almost smells like a Hamden sort of acidity to it. I'm not sure if it's Hamden that's in the blend, but it's what it smells like. Get a bit of apple, a bit of lime, some other kind of tropical fruits. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, just a really straightforward, slightly funky, pretty nice blend. It's just, it's not like super duper flavorful as rums go, but I think for, mixing blend, pretty solid with some interesting funky notes to it, from the Batavia Eric. They also make Bank 7, which is darker, might have been better in a Mai Tai, but you know what? This is what I got. This is what I'm going with. Next up is Homes Cay Esotico Edition. I did a bit video about this just recently. This will be the only rum today that doesn't have Jamaican in it. It is comprised of rums from Barbados, Martinique, and Venezuela. Homes Cay do a lot of single barrel releases that are generally pretty expensive and pretty good. This is their cocktail blend. It's still $43, 86 proof. Let's see how we like it. Yeah, a little bit more of the sort of butterscotch end of things, vanilla sort of vibes to it. Fruity, but not tropical fruit, like not a rotten fruit, more like maybe like a stone fruit, apricot, something like that. Okay, so this one is a little hotter, a little bit of a shorter finish. Again, not like super complex, but and more of the sort of sweeter column still kind of vibes to it, with the sort of butterscotch caramel kind of notes. This might make a good Mai Tai. I'm honestly not sure which any of these are going to make good Mai Tais, but we're going to find out. Okay, number 3 is the one that is new to me. This is a newer brand of rum. It's called 10-1. 10-1 is a blend of rums from the Dominican Republic and Jamaica. This company was started by a guy who used to work for Starbucks, and he decided to start a rum company. They have a few different releases out now. This is the white rum. This is the only one that I could get here in Oregon. It is 90 proof, and it cost me $30, which is very reasonable. Whoa, yeah. So this has got a very grassy, almost agricole kind of smell to it, or like a clarin kind of smell, mixed with a Jamaican overproof kind of funkiness. Yeah, lots of fruit, lots of coconut, but with that underlying sort of grassiness. I'm not sure where that's coming from. There's no agricole in this at all, but let's give it a taste. 10-1. 10-1 is good. It's interesting. Like I said, it's got that grassy flavor, that sort of, I don't know, lemongrass. It's flowery, maybe like I don't know, like jasmine or something. But with a sort of backbone of funkiness. Like it tastes a bit like maybe like a Rum Bar Gold or a J. Ray Nephew. Not as intense as that, but like that sort of funky flavor. I mean, that might be an excellent Mai Tai. That I've got high hopes for that one. Okay, number 4 is Denizen 8-Year Merchant's Reserve. This is the only one of our lineup with an age statement, aged at least 8 years. It is a blend of Jamaican and Martinique Grand Aromé. This is a blend that's actually aimed right at Mai Tais. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about what blend of rum you should use to make your Mai Tai like the most authentic. And one of the theories that was going around a while back was that you should use a blend of Martinique Grand Aromé rums and Jamaican funky rum. When this was a thing, people I think misunderstood and thought when they heard Martinique, they thought agricole. And so I think people for a while were mixing agricole and Jamaican in their Mai Tais. But no, what they failed to realize was they were talking about Grand Aromé, which is a different style that they can make in Martinique that isn't agricole. Anyway, this Denizen is just trying to be a Mai Tai rum. And so I included it here, and again, high hopes. It is 86 proof and cost me $37. I mean, Grand Aromés are usually like very overpowering, sort of super funkiness to them. This isn't quite that dramatic, and it's well aged. It's got a nice sort of caramel vanilla aroma to it, with a sort of hot backbone of Jamaican. Let's give it a try. Again, this one's a little bit hot. Should make a good mixer. I'm not sure I want to sip on any of these particularly, but yeah, sort of. God, it's a little mysterious. It's like a grassiness, but an aged grassiness. Mild funkiness, not super funky really. I feel like the barrel's taking over a little bit in this bottle, but yeah, this is again one that might be good. And finally, Transcontinental High Seas. Transcontinental, I've talked about it a lot of times on this channel. There's a bunch of interesting transcontinental barrels. They usually get a barrel or two from some part of the world, bring it back to France, age it for more time in France, sometimes in new barrels or, with different finishes or whatnot. This is their budget blend for cocktails. It is a blend of Jamaican, Panamanian, and French West Indies, which I am not familiar with at all. It is also 90 proof and cost me just under $40. It does not smell like 90 proof. It's very mild on the nose. All right, it's a little hot on the palate. It's got, it's again this sort of caramel butterscotch kind of direction. It's got sort of a mildly funky aftertaste. It's not like super aggressive. Again, this is sort of your low-key blend for cocktails. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a solid blended rum. Nothing too spectacular, I think, but I don't know what to think of this one. We'll just have to see how it does. All right, we're gonna try these out in Mai Tais. Next time you see me, we'll have made some Mai Tais. In the meantime, I have to go make some Orgeat. For this Orgeat, I'm keeping it very simple. I'm adding equal weights of almond milk and white sugar. Then I'll add just a tiny amount of rose water. And that's it. Easy peasy Orgeat. Okay, we're back. We're back and we've made Mai Tais. We're gonna try Mai Tai 1. This is the Banks 5 Mai Tai. Now, a lot of people will say that you should use a 1/4 ounce of Orgeat and a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup for your Mai Tai. I think that's totally fine. I'd like to just double up on the Orgeat because I want to get a more almond flavor in mine. So that's what I do. You do whatever you want because there's no rules. All right, let's try this. Mai Tais are the best. Daiquiris are the great. Obviously, this is sort of a daiquiri type drink. Bright, a little bit funky, really bright, really refreshing. This is a good one. This would do just fine. Could use a little bit more of that sort of aged caramely kind of flavor, but I mean, I'm getting the orange, I'm getting the Orgeat, and that slight funkiness of the rum really comes through. So this is an excellent option. Okay, moving on. Homes Cay. No funk in this one, so we'll see. Okay, we did it. We got our Homes Cay Esotico edition. Let's give it a taste. Mai Tais are delicious. A little darker than the other. A little more tart, maybe. It doesn't have that funkiness really, but it's got a certain grassy acidity to it. I think it's a little more acidic than the other. Something about the funky Jamaican rum addition sort of counteracts the lime a little bit in a certain way. It's a little hard to describe, I think, but I mean, that's pretty fun. Maybe not your traditional Mai Tai, not your, like, the one you might be expecting, but pretty good. Yeah, I like it. Well, let's move on to 10-1 white. This one might be a little weird, so, well, let's just give it a try. Ten to 1, let's see. Back to the sort of paler variety, obviously. I'm feeling these a little bit too high. I need to put a little less ice in. These keep sloshing around, but let's give it a try. This has Jamaican in it. It's a little bit funky. Overall, this rum doesn't read as like a funky rum, but it sort of comes through in this drink. But that grassiness, that sort of almost agricole-like flavor that this rum has is also coming through. It's a pretty interesting one. I was a little concerned about this one. I thought maybe it wouldn't be a great choice, but these are all pretty different, but it's almost like you can't go wrong with a Mai Tai because Mai Tais are so good. As long as you're using a quality rum, you'll probably be okay. Let's keep going. It's time for Denizen 8. High hopes for this one. It's supposed to be good in a Mai Tai, so we're gonna find out. All right, Denizen 8. I put a lot less ice in this time, but this lime hole was so big, it still sloshed out a little bit. My story I always heard was the lime hole goes in upside down to represent like an island, and then the mint is a little palm tree on the island. That's the story I always heard. I thought that was, I don't know, charming. All right, let's try this. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. This one is really good. I think a little extra age on the rum makes a big difference. I think that that funkiness from the Jamaican is kind of essential to really bring things together. It's not as bright and it's not as bright and acidic as some of the white ones, but this is more like what I think of when I think of a Mai Tai. Like you could do a lot worse than just getting a bottle of this for your Mai Tais. That's pretty good. When I first started making Mai Tais, the thing I was told to do was to get Eldorado 12 and like Appleton Estate 12, and then you'd have some dark, rich, that Eldorado is very sort of luscious and dark, and the Appleton will give you some funk, and the whole thing has some age on it. This reminds me of that, like kind of rich and delicious, less bright and daiquiri-like and more sort of its own thing. That's really good. That's going to be hard to beat. Let's go ahead and try the Transcontinental High Seas. Last one. Ooh, all right. Last Mai Tai Transcontinental High Seas. I think I finally put enough ice in, like a small enough amount of ice in that it isn't overflowing, which is great. You know, on the last one I finally get it right, but let's just try this. I can taste the almond more in this one. It's back to that sort of more acidic sharpness like the white ones had, but not as nice. Like, of all of these, this might be the only one that doesn't make a really good Mai Tai. I don't know, there's something about it where it isn't quite one thing, if that makes sense. It isn't like very funky. It isn't grassy. It's aged but not old. It's sort of in between. It's sort of a lot of middle tones, and I don't know. Somehow that isn't doing it for me, for whatever reason. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good rum in general, maybe for an old fashioned or just a straight up daiquiri. But for this, I'm not feeling it. That being said, Mai Tais are delicious, and this isn't like a bad drink. It's just not as good as like the Denizen 8, and not as interesting as the white ones, as the Banks or the 10-1. So, you know, no shame on this rum, but I don't think this is the right context for it. Now, I want to do one bonus Mai Tai just for fun. This one I'm gonna do because when Bournes suggested this video, basically, he was talking about the Rare Cane video. I don't know if you saw that one. Rare Cane is a single barrel Jamaican rum aged in a California Madeira cask. And the idea is maybe we float that on top of a Mai Tai. So I'm going to make another Mai Tai. I'm going to make a Denizen 8 Mai Tai, but I'm going to put in a little bit of 10-1 for a little bit extra grassiness. We'll make the Mai Tai, and then we're going to float maybe a 1/4 ounce of this high proof Jamaican right on top, just for a little extra specialness. Let's see how that is. Let's mix that up. Special bonus Mai Tai. Just trying to sniff it, see if I can get that funky rum. You can. That's nice. Give it a little stir. That's really fun. It tastes like a Mai Tai overall, of course. It's got just a little bit of grassiness from the 10-1, and you know, a little extra punch. That's from our float of high proof Jamaican. That's really nice. I mean, that's slightly fancier, slightly more fun. If you want to go the extra mile, put some high proof Jamaican into your Mai Tai. A nicely aged one works great, but you know, even something like a Wray and Nephew would be delicious addition, I think. But the perfect thing might be just like Hamden overproof. That would work out great. Or one of the higher proof Worthy Parks. Whatever you have to have around. Okay, conclusions. My conclusion: Mai Tais are delicious. If you don't want to blend 2 bottles together and you want to just use 1 bottle, Denizen 8, great choice. Not too expensive, sort of built for Mai Tais, really good. If you're looking for something a little funkier, a little more interesting, Banks 5, delicious. 10-1, that's a new one to me. I really liked it. It's got a grassiness to it. It's got this sort of almost agricole-like quality that comes through in the drink. Delicious. Homes Cay Esotico, a little bit brash, a little bit too sharp maybe, but not bad, like pretty good. That's a little bit more expensive of a bottle, so, you know, maybe you don't want to use that one. I don't know. The Transcontinental High Seas, although I really like the concept, and I think that's going to work out better in maybe another drink. Maybe I'll try it in an El Presidente soon. Not really the best kind of Mai Tai, but those are 4 really good options for you. I've just laid 4 good options on you, so, you know, hurrah for me. All right, hopefully that was entertaining and or informative. Put any questions or comments down below. In the meantime, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.